This is Simple Recipe for Social Media Success. This presentation is part of the social media series from the Digital Toolbox. And my name is Lorraine Ball, and I'm going to be your facilitator today. I own a company called Round Peg. We're a digital agency, and we've been managing social media marketing accounts for more than a decade. I started in traditional marketing and like to apply the same principles of good marketing strategy in a digital age. In this presentation today, we're going to focus on the high-level reasons why you should be using social media, as well as some characteristics that will allow you to identify which platforms are best for you. The numbers behind social media can be staggering. 21% of consumers say that they're more likely to buy from brands they can reach on social media. And so, like it or not, this is a huge opportunity, and you have to be accessible to your customers. 73% of customers say they have purchased items inspired through social media content. That doesn't mean that they necessarily clicked on a button for buy now, and particularly those of you that are in the B2B space, it's not necessarily a matter of buying immediately, but using social media as a way of gathering information that puts you in consideration. And 84% of consumers say they support causes by sharing information on social media. And so if you're running a nonprofit organization, social media, and particularly for most charities, Facebook is an absolute requirement. And so today what I really want to focus on is helping you select the right networks, because you don't need to be everywhere. There are too many platforms, and there are more and more all the time. And so the trick is to pick the right networks, put together a plan that you can be in and out in 15 minutes. And I want to talk a little bit about social media advertising, because we are living in a pay-to-play world. When it comes to social media, there are three things that social media can do really well. It can help you grow awareness for your brand. It can give you a vehicle to deliver customer service if you choose. And it can be a platform that will drive prospects to action. And let me be clear, action is not necessarily a purchase. For many of you in the businesses that you are in, it is a multi-step process. And so what social media does is it pushes your prospects into your process. Maybe it's getting them to go to your website and fill out a form, which then leads to a conversation or an email campaign. Maybe you can drive them to your website where they browse your catalog and begin to put items on their wish list. It doesn't mean that you're going to go from social media to sale, but it is driving them one step closer to you. There are several things that I said social media does really well. The first is it builds awareness. It helps you get found, it helps you build interest, and it can help you demonstrate your expertise. So this is an example of a Twitter feed for Jack's Barbecue. And here, there's several things that you can do, and we'll dive into this in more detail, but simply being on the platform, interacting with people. Clearly, if you only have 4 followers and 15 people following you, you're not gonna have much of an impact. But if you grow this, and you have a large community that you are interacting with, and you are using hashtags and participating in conversations, a steady stream of content can help you help people become more aware of who you are. You can use social media for customer service. You can use it to answer questions. When someone is unhappy, you can use it to respond. And let me be really clear about the customer service issues. I do not think that you should get into a conversation with someone and try to resolve an issue with an unhappy customer on social media. I think you want to identify the issue and invite people to have a more personal conversation. And in doing those kind of things, in acknowledging when something doesn't go right, it gives you an opportunity to win trust. And Facebook is a great place to drive action, to create irresistible offers and encourage people to learn more, to buy now, to register. Different platforms are better at this than others, and we're going to talk about them. But these are the kind of things you can do with social media. So where should you be? The answer is not everywhere. Nobody has time for that. I'm going to tell you that, we manage multiple social media accounts for different clients, and I have a person and it's their full-time job. And even having someone that does nothing but manage social media for our clients, I will tell you that there are days that our social media could use a little bit of love. So where do you go? Which platform is right for you? You want to go where your customers are, and that's actually easier than you would imagine. Let's take a look at each of the platforms and see if you can figure out where you need to be. The first is Facebook. And Facebook actually these days is definitely geared for an older audience, 35 and up. Wait a minute, I'm 40, I'm not old. Yeah, you are. The kids are playing on lots of other platforms. And if your product or service is geared to teenage girls 13 to 25, I would not put a lot of money into Facebook advertising. You're not going to reach them. You're going to reach their mothers, their grandmothers, but you're not going to reach them directly. The other thing that's going on in Facebook is the rise of the community. When Facebook started, it was all about who you knew and who they knew and what y'all were doing. And then it kind of grew and grew, and the conversations became less personal. There was more noise in the news feed. Facebook is coming full circle, and it is becoming much more about groups. Some groups will allow pages, businesses to join, others won't. But groups are where the real activity is. And so if you have a product or a service that would make sense for you to have a group for your customers, that might be something to consider as well. Facebook right now is actually giving priority in their timeline to content created by the group members for groups you are in, and you're more likely to see content from groups than just random friends and family. The thing about the Facebook audience is that they tend to be pretty receptive to advertising, and they're even likely to share and forward content that is advertising to other people. It does work for both B2B, B2C, and nonprofit. And this was really interesting. We've done this study of social media behavior for small businesses for the last decade. And what we have found is that even among business-to-business companies, the ease of use of the Facebook community has actually driven more small businesses that are in the B2B space to Facebook. This is a place for personal content. It is a great place to show the behind the scenes, and as far as how much content, it's pretty much a daily. Once a day is just perfect. And Monday through Friday, or if you're more of a consumer restaurant, you might skip maybe Monday and Wednesday and run through the weekend. as you're thinking about your Facebook content, you want to kind of think about this ratio. It's called the 50-30-20. 50% of the content that you share on Facebook should be fun. It should be entertaining. It should be lighthearted. Because Facebook is like a backyard barbecue. This is not a Chamber of Commerce event. People are not showing up in their business suits ready to exchange business cards. They're hanging out and chatting around the bonfire with a beer in their hand. 30% of your content can be useful and informative. Links to articles, links to trends, general information, and 20%, but no more than 20%, can be promotional. Buy now, here's a coupon, do this, do that. Call us, 20, 30, 50. This ratio is pretty good on most of the platforms. On LinkedIn, you really don't need the fun and entertainment. So I would do 2/3 useful, 1/3 promotion. And Facebook, the thing Facebook does probably better than any of the other networks, because this is what Facebook was really for, is event promotion. Inviting customers to join you for an in-person event, or let's face it, right now, virtual events are really popular, but promoting those events on Facebook is a natural part of how this platform works. And so if you're running events, if this is part of your business model, then Facebook needs to be part of your social media plan. Flipping over to Twitter. Twitter is more of a niche community. You either love it or you hate it. It runs the gamut on ages, but it's definitely people who like conversations. It is a place to tap into trending topics, to see what other people are talking about, to catch up on the news. You want to look for those trending topics and follow them to see who's talking about it. The difference between Twitter and Facebook is it's really easy on Twitter to interact with anyone. And so as a brand, if you're not spammy, it's really easy to ask a question or talk to someone as a brand in a way that you can't on Facebook. One of the things that is really valuable if you're an active Twitter user is to find chats, which are discussions among people who share a common interest, and add value to those chats. And definitely use and follow hashtags. The hashtag was created for Twitter, and it works really well here. It allows you to focus in on specific conversations and be a part of topics that are relevant for your business. It is a great platform for customer service. Again, it's about identifying issues, not necessarily solving the problems. As a consumer, I am very likely to do something like Verizon fail, and then use it hashtag Verizon fail, and then talk about my issue with Verizon. I have had tremendous success dealing with companies, both large and small. Everything from an opportunity to have my banking fees waived because I felt like they were unreasonable from Fifth Third Bank. I've had United Airlines reach out to me, Anthem Insurance, Office Depot, and I'm not particularly nitpicky. I simply tag them and let them know what the issue is. And it's a much easier way to break through the clutter rather than being online with them. And so conversely, you want to look for, if you're in a business with a high volume of consumer interactions, you want to be looking for and searching for those comments about your brand, being prepared to respond. The challenge with Twitter is that it's all day, every day. And you can't share enough content on Twitter. You will not overwhelm your feed if you share 5, 10, or even 15 comments in a given day. It's all part of how that ecosystem works. And if that sounds exhausting, that's okay. It is perfectly okay to say, you know what? I get it. Twitter, not for me. No one will notice if you don't do Twitter, but they will notice if you do it badly. So either go all in or go to another platform. Twitter excels in the what's happening now. Talking to your audience about an event or something that is occurring right in the moment. That immediacy, that sense of current events and news is really what this platform is about. Facebook is about events. Twitter is about news and what's happening in the moment. Instagram. Instagram is changing, but it is still primarily a younger audience, 35 and younger. It is the first tool that really was just a mobile first platform. Twitter was both. It definitely was also a very mobile heavy platform, but the desktop applications came online really quickly, and you can use Twitter on desktop or mobile equally well. You can't do that with Instagram. Instagram is really done from your phone. You can browse somebody's page or timeline from your desktop, but if you want to interact, engage, or post new content, you have to do it from your phone. More than any other platform, it is about the images. It is about beautiful pictures. And if you have boring photos, people are just going to pass you by. The thing about Instagram, and other platforms are now copying, and this is one of the things that does happen a lot, is one platform pioneers something and then other platforms start to copy it, is the difference between stories and the news feed. On Instagram, a story is temporary disposable content. It's up for 24 hours and then it disappears. And that sense of here and gone is what gets people to pay attention to your stories. Stories, because of their disposable nature, tend to be a little more informal, whereas the news feed, because that's what lives, that's what creates your grid, that tends to hang around. Instagram is still heavily populated by brands and influencers. All the pretty people sharing all their perfect content. Like Twitter, you don't have to ask permission really to follow people. Now, Instagram did do something recently that a lot of influencers who are making a lot of money based on the number of people who are following them don't like, is they've started hiding likes. Because one of the things they found is if somebody had a picture that already had 100 likes, anybody else who saw it would feel compelled to like it as well. When they started hiding that, they started getting more realistic views of, is the content really that viral? Do that many people really like it? And now you only see likes from people that you know. So they're trying to make it a more personal platform, but it really isn't. You do have some people that talk back and forth, but for the most part, it's putting interesting content in the feed that people can smile as they scroll by. Again, the difference between the news feed and stories. This is your news feed. If you're smart, each picture is carefully curated so that when they appear in a row, when somebody comes to your profile, they get a snapshot of who you are. Conversely, this is a story. You'll notice that the news feed, they're square images. The stories are these portrait. They're designed to be snapped with your phone. And what you can do with a story is you can add some text to make the story more interesting. And you can have several images. Oh, it didn't work. Sorry. You can have several images in your story, each one with a little different text. And so let's say you're launching a collection of new eyewear. You can have 3 or 4 different pictures with different sunglasses and a little bit of text. If you are a brewery, you might take photos as you walk through your brewing process and give people an opportunity to see, this is where our beer starts. These are the hops. These are the barrels where everything is distilled, and this is our tasting room. You know, come experience the event with us. And so you can tie together a series of images in a sequence with a little bit of text. Facebook has picked up the stories. They don't work as well as they do in Instagram, though even Facebook is saying that this is now becoming a much more popular type of content. Both LinkedIn and Twitter are experimenting with stories. Pinterest. Let's talk about Pinterest. It is an aspirational platform. Again, like Instagram, it's more of a browsing than a conversational. It is heavily female. It is primarily consumer products, but not exclusively. We've actually had some really good results with Pinterest for some of our consultants and coaches sharing their motivational tips and their how-to guides. If you have a product that you can create some how-to use information, that works really well on Pinterest. And one of the interesting things is Pinterest has, of all the social platforms, the highest sales conversion, the highest right from the platform to buy now of any of the social media platforms. In order to make Pinterest really work, you want to make sure that when you post a picture, you add a great description, you add a title, and you use keywords in your interaction. You want to use keywords in the description. Why? Because people actually search Pinterest, and if you have tagged this post properly, it will show up in their search. Also, with Pinterest, there's a nice analytics back end, and as with all the platforms, an opportunity to advertise. LinkedIn. Of all the platforms, this is the Chamber of Commerce. This is where you go to hand out business cards and to have professional conversations. And to that end, leave your games, your puzzles, your quizzes at home. Do not share that kind of stuff in the timeline. I know you see it every now and then. Can you solve this problem? Only people with a genius IQ can. Skip. Next. Why? Because unlike the other platforms, on Facebook, if I comment or link, the only people who know that I have commented or liked are the people who also comment and like. On LinkedIn, when you like a post or you comment on a post, it shows up in your activity, and suddenly you're promoting that silly contest or quiz. Don't do it. LinkedIn is definitely about the personal connections. It is your address book on steroids. It is a wonderful place to demonstrate knowledge and expertise. And the kind of content you should be sharing should be posts with links to your blog posts, links to videos, informative articles, industry information, case studies, resources, testimonials. And the thing about LinkedIn is, yes, there is a mobile app, but quite honestly, it stinks. When you realize that this is a professional app, it makes sense that it is a desktop tool. Also, Microsoft purchased this product, and so it begins to have the look and feel of a Microsoft Office Suite product. As you approach this tool, approach it the way you would approach Outlook or PowerPoint. So as you're working on your persona, remember that you want to have a personal identity and a company identity. This is me. I have connections. I have friends. I have people who know who I am. And you want to fill out all of the information and keep these photos new and relevant. With all of your branding, you want to have, again, personal identity and a business identity. You'll notice it got cropped off a little bit here, but you'll notice our company name is Round Peg, and you see our logo, it's this nice horizontal logo. It doesn't fit in any of the squares or circles that are a part of every social media platform. And so one of the things that we did is we came up with an avatar that we use everywhere. When you post content as a company, you always want to post it as the company first, and then you want your employees to share it from the company page. That will help you grow your business followers. As a person, you will always have more connections than your company, unless, of course, you put a ton of advertising behind it, kind of like a Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Pretty sure that the Coca-Cola Facebook page has way more followers than anybody who works for the company. But as a small business, your relationships are first with you and then your business. Okay. The purpose of social media. I look at social media a lot like a singles bar. It is a place to go and meet a lot of people, to have some interesting conversations. But ultimately, your objective is to drive people to your website or email. Why? Because just like a singles bar, your end goal is to bring your date home, somewhere where you can have that one-on-one intimate conversation with people. And so as you are thinking about your 15-minute plan, you want to do 3 things. And when you do these 3 things, it will allow you to minimize the time you spend every day. Acknowledging what it is you're trying to do. Number 1, yes, you may have other objectives, but remember your primary objective is to drive people to your website and your email list so you can continue the conversation in a place with no distractions. So, defining objectives. It's okay to have all of these objectives. You can't do all of these every day with every single post. So, is growing awareness your top priority, delivering customer service, or driving prospects to action? Because this is going to impact the kind of content you share. Delivering customer service is a much more hands-on. You're not going to be able to do that just hopping in and out occasionally. If you want your social media to deliver customer service, you're going to have to commit to a little bit more activity. Growing brand awareness and driving prospects to action can be done for the most part with the help of auto scheduling tools. If you're trying to generate awareness, you want to plan posts. And the cool thing is you can do this in advance. Take an afternoon, take a couple of hours, gather up all of your resources, gather up images that you've used, find your best blog posts, and you can begin loading those into a spreadsheet. And then having all of those images ready in one file on your computer. So when you sit down and you decide to start pasting content on Twitter or sharing it elsewhere, you're not hunting and pecking every time you log in. You have, and if we have some time when this is over, I will show you one of our spreadsheets. It is a list of every blog post we're going to write, and then the actual URL link, the general topic, and we even have kind of, when we write the blog post, we develop 1 or 2 kind of key sentence little blurbs. And so then anybody who wants to promote some of our content on social media can go to the spreadsheet and pick and choose randomly. Or we create a schedule and have all of that content ready to go. Creating awareness is photos of your product, information about events that you have coming up, as well as simply some general behind the scenes information on your company. If you're doing customer service, again, you need to be ready to respond, but you also want to have some activities that are designed to cultivate reviews. One of the best things that you can do is begin to, every time you work with clients, send them an email and ask them to share a positive comment on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and then have them tag you so you can respond. Yes, it's a little bit staged, but what this does is it creates a little bit of activity in the newsfeed, and people see, oh, someone is talking about Constant Contact, and oh, look, Constant Contact is responding. And if you want to encourage action, one of the best things to do is occasionally take a poll. Facebook is great. They've got a really easy polling tool, but these days, so does LinkedIn. And not LinkedIn, Twitter has a really easy polling tool. LinkedIn doesn't, but you can create a poll on a third-party website and embed it in the newsfeed. Encourage people for acting. Let people know what it is you want them to do. Let them know that they can attend events. Drive them to specific landing pages on your website and then capture those leads. As you're trying to save time, the first thing you want to do is remember that you should be repurposing content. You don't want to share exactly the same information on all the channels, but you need to find different ways to repurpose it. And the example would be, something happens to me during the day, and I'm going to tell my daughter about it, I'm going to tell my husband about it, and I'm going to tell my mother-in-law who's 93. I'm going to talk about the same event, but the details that I put in and the things I leave out will be different when I'm talking to my 35-year-old daughter versus my husband, who's going to be more concerned with the business elements, versus a very high-level summary for my 93-year-old mother-in-law. As you're moving from Facebook and LinkedIn to Twitter, think about that same thing. Think about the fact that your audience is different. Take advantage of scheduling tools like Buffer and Hootsuite that allow you to put a month's worth of content up. Now, it's not that you get to set it and forget it, but if you put that content down, it's like ground cover, and then you can go in for higher level stuff on top of that. And take advantage of some of the research tools. When I'm struggling for content, I go to Google search. I go to a tool called Feedly, which is free, where I can track lots of different blogs that I'm interested in that always have great articles that I can share with my audience. And as a content expert, I can demonstrate my expertise by being in the know of who's writing the best content, even if it isn't me on any given day. And the last thing I want to do is remind you that social media is a pay-to-play toy these days. Consumers are paying attention to social media advertising, and 25% will visit a location or a website because of an ad. 15% will purchase product because of an ad. And social media advertising is significantly more affordable than AdWords. It leverages the social nature of the platform. You create an ad, I see it, and I comment on it because it looks just like a post. The cool thing with social media advertising is that I can target advertising based on interest and behavior and location, and I can clone audiences. I can upload my email list to Facebook and say, find 1,000 people that look just like these people. Every year, we ask small businesses about social media and about advertising. And among the businesses that are advertising, Facebook dominates. More than twice as many businesses are using Facebook as Google AdWords. Why? Because it's a very controllable expense, and it's a very easy, not intimidating tool. And this held true for both B2B and B2C companies. And as I'm wrapping up, I want to leave you with this last thought, this idea that email marketing cultivates relationships that you start on social media. People come and go on social media, but if you can get them on your email list, that is the gift that keeps on giving. When you combine email with social media, you are likely to see up to 39% more business referrals as you email satisfied customers and ask them to refer you to a friend. 57% more new customers. They may find you on social media, but it is the email campaign that nurtures them and moves them through your pipeline. And so as you're thinking about your social media plan, think about what you're trying to accomplish. Pick the platform that really fits your objectives. Spend about 15 minutes a day sharing content. Be prepared to invest in advertising. Definitely every single platform has measurement tools. Use those and expand the relationship with email. Now's a great time to ask questions if you have them. And I'm going to